Hi, and welcome to Charger Chat. I'm Hannah Roberson.
I'm Kiana Nahinu.
And we're here with Joshua Gotis, who is a swim instructor and lifeguard at our local YMCA. Yes.
How are you doing this morning?
Good, how are you?
We're good.
It's been a very cold morning, definitely.
Yes.
Not many people swimming around this time of year, I'd expect.
Yeah, I can't say they really are. It gets a little chilly.
Yeah, so we want to start out by asking you, when did you start working at the YMCA?
I started working at the YMCA when I was 16 years old. I started out as a lifeguard and swimming instructor, and over time built my way up and went to a couple of different jobs, went to college, and came back and became the aquatics director.
That's really
So I guess it must have been like a defining point in your life if you actually came back and started doing it again.
I had been working night shifts at Providence Hospital as a patient transporter for about a year. And I had spent some of that time doing swimming instructing for private lessons. And as I was saying before, I had a autistic child who was 8 years old, and I was the only male interaction that he had with any adults since his father had passed away. And it was moments like those that I really realized that, yeah, I could do this job.
Wow.
So that kind of, said that that's the role you wanted to keep, but how did you get the role of the aquatics director?
I spent a lot of time helping them out with fundraising. So each year, the YMCA does something that's called annual campaign. It's the time that the employees and members can give back so that other people who aren't able to necessarily afford private lessons or afford childcare, I helped with those in order to pay for other people so that they can have memberships and be able to come to the Y and experience those things. I had spent a lot of my time getting extra experience at other jobs. So for example, I worked my way up at the hospital. I worked my way up in the military. I started out as a medic, just as a normal frontline medic, and worked my way up to help myself get into a better position to create a better resume.
So what kind of credentials does being a swimming instructor require? Like you talked about how you helped them out and that's how you got the job, but what sort of credentials did you need to have?
Well, so as a swimming instructor, there's a couple of major things that you have to be good at. One, you have to be good at playing with kids. You have to be excited. You have to be energetic. They have to like you. So then past that, you have to be really good at swimming. So in order to teach a skill, you usually have to be okay at it. So knowing all the strokes, knowing the mechanics of them, what the breakdown is between your arm stroke versus your leg kicks, all of those. And then breaking that down and showing it to other students in a way that sometimes 3 to 5 year olds will understand. And having that curriculum and background and allowing them to progress as they go on.
Yeah, and you talked a lot about how you like to work with kids. You're really empathetic. You work with them well. I remember I took swimming lessons as a child at the Y, and I was terrified to put my head under the water. How do you get a kid to work up the confidence to actually be able to swim like that?
Absolutely. So yes, there are a lot of children that are afraid of that.
That was me.
I totally get it. It's working up. First, you start out with showing them that it's okay, especially at a young age. It's really easy that if you can do it, the teacher can do it, and they're excited about it. So therefore, I must be excited about it. So showing them that it's okay. And then after that, working slowly, because if you just go in and dunk them, that's not they don't like that very much. So being there for them, being supportive, being excited, enthusiastic, those are all things that help a kid that's afraid of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I know around here we live kind of out in the boondocks, so our method of teaching kids swimming is to push them off the pier.
Yeah. So, did you do anything else besides the YMCA and the Army?
Besides that, I really worked at Providence as a patient transporter, which would take me working the entire hospital. But besides those, the medic position and that were my two major jobs.
What did you do in the military? Because you mentioned the military.
I'm an Army combat medic. I currently still serve. I'm 3 years into my 6-year contract. I've been doing that miscellaneous. I went down to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas to become a medic. Stayed there for 18 weeks, which was all kinds of fun. Learning everything that you need in order to help soldiers in the battlefield.
So a military doctor?
I wouldn't say a doctor, just a medic. So those are the people that are out on the front lines with the soldiers. If something happens to them, we take care of them and try to get them to a higher echelon of care. We do evacuations and immediate emergency care. So, yeah.
Sounds like a pretty big job, and definitely a big difference between those 2 lives, or 3 lives almost.
Yeah. It's been a interesting path. I helped out with the wildfires there for a little bit, and I also did a little assistance with OSO.
So did you help out with the recent wildfires?
Yes. I went over to Yakima and we did a support mission. I was set up in a little bay area where they would bring in soldiers that were either sick or injured, and I would take care of them, and if it was too serious, then they'd go on to another doctor or PA, but I got minor stuff while we were there. There was nothing too big.
Yeah. So you were in the military, you were with Province, and you're at the YMCA now. So did you live in Marysville all your life, or?
I have lived in Marysville for the majority of my life. I've been stationed at other places, so I went to South Carolina and I was there for 10 weeks. Went to Texas, was there for 18, and I've traveled up the entire amount of the East Coast, as well as I was born in Kansas City, Missouri. So I lived out there for a little bit of time as well.
Stationed in Texas and South Carolina, there's military there?
Yes, there's a base in every state. So depending on what branch you are, depends on where you stay. I stayed at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, which is an Army base. When I was in San Antonio, Texas, that is a Navy, Air Force, and Army base. We do joint medicine there. So depending on what branch you are, depends on where you go and what you do.
So does your work as a medic qualify you to actually work in medicine, or just on the battlefield?
It qualifies me to work as an EMT basic. If I chose to, I could go further with medicine. I did end up choosing the YMCA route because I enjoy what they do. I really feel that they make a difference in the community, and the things that they allow you to be a part of is what keeps me there.
Okay. And another question about the YMCA, like how old do you have to be like an instructor?
In order to be a lifeguard and a swimming instructor, you have to be 16 years old. And in order to start, it's as easy, simple as applying, and you go through the application process, which is a land interview portion, as well as a in-water interview portion, which allows you to get in with the children with another instructor, and they'll kind of walk you through some of the things of a working interview, and then you have to do a swim test after as well.
But if we were, because we're both 17, if we were to become instructors, what are the biggest difficulties we'd encounter when trying to work with kids like that?
I just have to say the biggest thing is big classes. It's very hard to control really big classes.
Yeah.
When you have 6 students that are all 3 to 5 years old, they can get a little distracted very quickly. Exactly. So you being an instructor have to make sure that you keep control of your class and that nobody gets too off and out of control.
6 students is a big class?
Yes, 6 students can be fairly big for one instructor, and only having about a half hour worth of time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Especially if they're in the water. I know I was rambunctious myself.
Yep.
Taking some. So,
What are the different age groups that go into, if you have it off the top of your head, the different age groups they're separated into for lessons?
Yeah, we have a infant toddler class. Then after the infant toddler class, it goes to the 3 to 5-year-olds. After that, it goes 6 to 12. And then we also have teen and adult lessons as well. So we have everything from 6 months all the way till as old as you prefer. We teach everybody and anybody that wants to learn how to swim because it's an important life skill.
Well, we have to transition into one of our segments today. It's called What Did You Say? But thank you so very much for being with us here.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Good.
What did she say?
Grandma, she asked how you were doing today.
Well, speak up next time.
Okay, can I help you with anything?
Oh yeah, okay, so we need help with...
What?
Grandma, she said that she...
What did she say?
Grandma, she was asking us what she could help us with.
Stop screaming at me! You have to speak louder, child.
I was speaking loud enough.
What did you say?
So now back to what you wanted, before this old wrinkled prune interrupted.
Oh, well, okay, but... So, we need what's that?
What?
Grandma, she just said that she wanted to help us.
I heard you this time.
I've decided to close today. Please leave.
Fine, we'll leave.
What did you say?
Grandma, come on.
Bye now. Have a nice day.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Hannah Roberson. I'm here with my co-host,
Kiana, Nikki New.
and we're here with James Godas? Godas?
Joshua got it.
Joshua Godas. I'm so sorry. I'm not that good with names.
It's okay.
But you were definitely telling us some interesting stuff. You worked as a medic with Providence. You work in the military also as a medic, and you work as a lifeguard and swim instructor over at the Y. Now, one of the things you were mentioning to me during the break is that with your children's programs, you're going to have a new curriculum going into the next year?
Mm-hmm. So over time, we've had curriculums that have changed, but they've pretty much with the same basis stayed the same. Over time, they'll switch one or two things here and there, but this time we're rolling out with a new curriculum that's hopefully going to help out with the instructors, allowing them to have a better idea of what it is to teach a student. Just because the difficulty that a lot of them have been running into is they know the strokes, they know the mechanics, but how do you teach this to a kid? And so that's something that we're trying to help out with the beginning of next year.
So, do you necessarily have to be good with kids to have the job?
Absolutely, I would say
Sounds
it's
like it,
yes, absolutely. They feed off of energy. So I mean, if you are fun and exciting, they will be fun and exciting. If you are kind of down and everything like that, then they'll be down. So it's like I said, they feed off of each instructor on if they're happy to be here, they'll be happy to be here. It's what makes their experience well.
So, off of your own experience, so like, if you have a concerned person like coming up to you, like, how do you react?
Like the soccer mom, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, it's dealt by a case-to-case basis. On a regular basis, I have to deal with, I get all the phone calls and complaints and everything like that. So always hearing them out, finding out what exactly is the problem, and then helping them solve it. That's my job is to make sure that whatever they need, that I'm here for them. So helping them out with anything from getting them in the right classes to helping their children progress further in some lessons. If their instructor's struggling with their child, helping their instructor get on a better start with them in order to help them swim. So.
Now, I don't know if this is too forward, but what are some of the concerns that those parents come to you with? Like, what is the most common concern that they have?
That's an easy one. My kid's not swimming, so they a lot of the times is they'll enroll their kids in swim lessons, and the way that their curriculum is based off of is they have to take the class 2 or 3 times in order for them to move up to the next level. A lot of 3 to 5 year olds have a harder time with floating and to not sink after they've been swimming for a couple of feet. The biggest one is a kid will swim like this versus flat on their stomach, which is how you're supposed to swim. So that's the biggest one is helping out the parents with understanding, okay, so this is a body mechanic thing. Let's help your child learn this. This is they're weak in this stroke. Well, let's help your child with this. Or maybe they're not in the right class or with the right instructor. So let's get them with that.
Now, for people who need extra instruction like that, are individual classes available, or is it simply group classes?
Absolutely. We have our normal group lessons, which has our regular curriculum. Then we have semi-private lessons, and we have private lessons. So you can either do one-on-one, 1 and 2, or up to a group class, which depends on how many people register. But all of those can go well. Obviously, the more time you spend in the water, the quicker you are to progress. But with semi-private lessons, that one-on-one interaction allows you to, as an instructor, get more time with the kiddos to get them to progress more.
So, like, what are, in your own opinions, the 3 most important things when instructing a class? So, like, things that
The biggest things to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
yeah.
So always smiling. So first off, like I said in the past, it's the energy. You have to be excited. You have to be there. Be ready to teach the kids. 2, always keep in mind of your kiddos' names. You have 20 to 30 names. You don't want to call Sarah Becca or Becca Sarah. So helping that out, it makes 1, the parents feel good that you know their kid, and 2, it's nice. It's nice. And then 3, remembering each individual skill. There's a lot of ways that certain children learn. Some have a better experience with when kids are pushed more, and some just want to do it themselves. So keeping in mind how they learn, as well as that positive reinforcement.
Okay. And so, also, what kind of training do you have to have in order to become a swim instructor?
So at the YMCA, they have a huge curriculum of training. So you have to go through a swim lesson instructor training, which will teach you all of the levels, the strokes, the mechanics, and how to teach. You have to go through a CPR class, a first aid class, and an oxygen class. Then after that, we have some new employee orientation for the Y. We have a class that's called Listen First. It's a good class that allows you to help with open-ended questions. It assists you in communicating with others by asking, okay, well, instead of yes and no questions, you ask questions that allows the members or the other staff to have a better conversation with you.
That's one of the things we learn here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a helpful skill, as well as our last one is diversity and inclusion. So the YMCA is inclusive to all, so they want to help people that maybe haven't had that experience in the past have that experience.
What does that mean, diversity coaching? That's definitely an interesting phrase.
Yeah, so diversity and inclusion, it's all about being inclusive to others and to all. The YMCA is to install Christian principles into healthy living, social responsibility, and wellness to others, to and for all. You want to make sure that everyone that walks in the door feels welcome, not just one person, but every single person. It doesn't matter what background you come from, where you're from, or what you do. We want to be here for everyone.
So, at what age can you start swimming lessons? Like, how young can you?
Well, 6 months is the youngest, but I always suggest that you do that once if kiddos are having a hard time getting into the water and getting used to that. But my highest suggestion, I always feel that 3 years old is the best age group to start at. Once they start there, that's where they're getting the understanding of getting in the water and getting used to it the most. But it's always good to before that, have them in the water so that they don't cry on the first day and be afraid of getting in.
Yeah. So, what kind of sports activities did you do in high school? Did you like swim in high school?
I swam my 8th grade year for swim team, but after that, I immediately, when I was 16, started working. So I didn't do any sports after that. All of my time was spent into, I would go to school, I would do my homework, and then I'd go to work. And that was my junior and senior year. After that, once I joined the Army, I did a little bit of swimming with some of the Navy SEALs and stuff like that down at our base in Texas. But past that, I didn't do too many sports.
Yeah, a few questions though. You mentioned having to learn to do CPR in the instruction. That's quite a scary thought. As someone who has young nieces and nephews, that's quite a scary thought. Have you ever actually had to use your CPR training on a child?
Since I've worked in the medical field, I've done it at the hospital and at in the field with the military, but I've never had to do it at the YMCA. There's been other staff that have had to for adults, but never on a child. My experience with CPR has been all in a medical and hospital setting. So yes, I have had to do it several times, and it's very unfortunate and when that occurs. But you do, I do the training. I do it with, and I train people with the aspect that it's a good knowledge to know how to do it with the expectation that I hope that none of you ever have to do it.
But those who send their children to lessons at the Y should be safe, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in safe hands.
Exactly. With lifeguarding, that's what most of them are there for, is to make sure that if a kid jumps in, then the lifeguard jumps in to get them immediately. So we just had last month one of our lifeguards, a 1-year-old, the father had turned around for maybe all of 5 seconds, and the 1-year-old, not knowing how to swim, bolted straight into the pool and jumped right in and was sitting there on the bottom. And it took our lifeguard maybe 5 seconds to get over there and grab him and make sure that they were okay. So,
Yeah.
Say, hey, your child just
Yep.
jumped in
Yeah.
the water.
And I'm sorry, we have to transition into another segment now. This one is called Magic Box.
What's this box here?
all that money from?
The box. My box. The box.
You're under arrest.
You introduce his name this time. I've done it all of the. Hi, welcome back to Charger Chat.
I'm Kiana, and this is Hannah, and we are here with Josh.
Goddess.
Yes.
So we just got back from talking about all the things that you do at YMCA. Another thing I want to ask is, so you were talking about how you started working right away as you got into high school. Would you recommend that was like, would you recommend students like concentrate on high school?
Because that sounds like it was definitely a turning point, a defining moment in your life.
It definitely was. My highest suggestion is that I feel that education is the most important. And so that comes first. But I also believe that with good skills of balancing things out, the work is available for you as well. Having a good working relationship with your employer, as well as letting them know ahead of time that, hey, you know, school is the most important to me. I highly suggest having a job, at least part-time. I have plenty of students that are still 4.0 students that only work 2 days a week for me, and they only work maybe 5 hours a week. So having a good flexible job is something that I think is a good thing for students to have, but knowing with the knowledge that high school, getting through that is definitely the most important.
So, in your opinion, like, what do you think makes a good lifeguard?
A good lifeguard is somebody who's vigilant. So somebody who is always has their head, as we would say, on a swivel. You're supposed to be constantly looking at the pool the whole time. You have to be making sure that if you start getting in a constant motion, that you're not going through the motions, that you're always looking to make sure that nothing's happening. You always have to be aware, constantly paying attention, listening, checking for warning signs. Most of the time, a parent will be sitting there in swim lessons and their child will jump off, and the next thing they know is the lifeguard's already in there, because they've already seen it happen. They've been watching the entire time, building up to make sure that, oh, I think I have an idea. Yep, that kid's gonna jump in. Yep, I'm gonna go jump in and get them real fast.
So basically someone who can basically see like a couple seconds into the future, basically.
a little bit. So kids are pretty predictable, so you can tell when somebody's ready to jump in the water or not. So, yeah.
But in your interviews, you have to make sure that they know how to tell. What are some sort of questions that you ask on your land interviews? Because you said you have a land interview and a water interview. What is the land interview entail?
So a lot of it you want to ask questions that they're good about hard work ethic, anything that shows that there's somebody that's interested in this and also paying attention to the things that are going on around them. So as a lifeguard, finding out what their background is for swimming in an aquatic experience. Most of the times, just knowing that somebody has an aquatic background as well as an interest in it is, first off, you have to go through the training. So most of the time, just having that aquatic experience is the most important. The rest of the stuff we teach you. So.
And how many people work at the YMCA?
Well, at the Marysville YMCA, we have 105. I personally oversee 30 of them. So that's lifeguards, swimming instructor, and water fitness instructors. But for the most part, that's just the Marysville branch. We have the whole association, which consists of 5 different branches. in different towns. So,
Are you happy working with your coworkers? Like,
Yeah.
are they?
yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy the environment that the YMCA brings. I have to say, there's no other job that you can have this kind of positive environment where people are very supportive. We have a lady who works at the front desk. Her name is Stacy. She's a great lady, but she just went through cancer. She was fighting off breast cancer, and everyone was there for her. We were all hugging her, supporting her, and some people were even bringing her dinner on a regular basis so that she didn't have to cook for her family. And I'd have to say there's no other employer that you'll find that has that kind of friendly environment on a day-to-day basis.
Very much a family,
Yeah.
honestly. Now, this is a bit going back. You mentioned a water fitness. What on earth is water fitness?
So we have things like Zumba, Aqua Zumba, which is getting up, dancing, pretty much, and doing all the fun things. And then water fitness, which is we have stuff for our older adults. That getting in the water, sometimes as you get older, you know, it gets a little bit harder to get out and exercise, but these water aerobics classes allows them to be active and participate in an hour-long class that'll help them along in their life with healthy living. And so between the two classes, it's getting you up, it's getting you going, and in the pool and having fun. So yeah.
Sounds really cool.
Another question I have is like, how do you balance your work with, you know, just your personal life, like things you
It
want to
sounds
do?
like
and-
because you have these 3 different things that are taking up your time, or at least a lot of time taking up your time. Yeah, how do you separate work from home?
Yeah, absolutely. I stay fairly busy. We're open 17 hours a day, so the YMCA is always going. I always do my best to make sure that when I come to work, I work, and then when I go home, I spend as much time with my wife as I can, and then I go to work the next day. So I get called pretty regularly to help things out and make it work, but my wife and I are flexible, so we adjust.
Do we have any final questions? It looks like we're very nearly out of time.
I think that's all we have today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming and taking time out of your day to come talk with us.
Absolutely. Thank
It
you.
does. It does. It's very good to be able to talk with someone about this. It's definitely fascinating.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, guys.
All right, so
Thank you so much for coming with us to watch TV3.
All right,
I've been Hannah Roberson. This has been
Kiana Nahinu, and this is Josh.
Josh
Brody.
got us.
Josh Goddess.